President Trump is taking another swipe at the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, taking to social media yet again, calling Powell a loser and blaming the former Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin for his recommendation. Trump went on to claim Powell's done incalculable damage to the economy and hinted at a potential lawsuit targeting the Fed chair over ongoing renovations at the headquarters. Here now is Doug Flynn, certified financial planner, co-founder at Flynn Zito Capital Management. If we could put the first part of Trump's Truth Social post up. This is, before we even talk about the lawsuit, Doug, so Jerome too late Powell must now lower the rate. And then the second line is Steve, see this? Do you see the second, you have it on the screen there? What is that? I don't even get, usually I get the joke, but what is he trying to say with Mnuchin? Do you have any idea? Or do you care?
I don't. That one went over my head.
Over my head. Yeah. Usually I'm on to these, too late. He's been late with the interest rates. Anyway, he's blaming Mnuchin. And what do you make of this lawsuit threat, latest in our saga? I mean, at the end of the day, Powell's going to stay and he's going to do what he's going to do. He's probably going to cut rates, right?
Oh, yeah, we would think, based on how everything's going. It's interesting to me from the standpoint of, as a president, I think about Harry Truman and the buck stops here, sort of accepting responsibility for everything that you did, even the people under you. I also think about Abraham Lincoln is a great one. During the Civil War, they had an opportunity to take out Robert E. Lee, and they didn't. And he wrote a private letter to his generals accepting the responsibility for not acting quick enough. And that letter became public. It's in the archives. You could check it out. But that was quietly taking the heat. And so I compare those two things and contrast them with what Trump does, which is push all of the blame on everyone else, even his picks that picked Powell. That's right. Supposedly,
Sometimes you pick people and they're a disaster. Like that's what he said today, something like that. Sometimes you pick them, they just don't work out. So like this guy, he's a loser, and or a stiff, I think he called him today. But the point is, Powell's going to cut the rate now, right?
It's lined up, it's teed up, and what this did though for Trump, I think, is that there's going to be some remnant months of bad data, and he'll just continually be able to blame everything on Powell way past this. And had he cut a lot earlier, that would have been harder to do. Right. So I think we get the cut, and we still have the still has the ability to blame him for anything that goes wrong, which I'm sure he will.
Oh, anything. Eggs, they were coming after me with eggs, as he says. I just got here. They're throwing eggs at me. So do you have any interest? Do you use these AI chatbots? Like, do you use Grok because I was saying on the show yesterday, I actually started using this Perplexity the other day more often. I had tried it, but I use that more. Do you use any of them on a day-to-day basis?
We do. We've started to use the Chat GPT that we pay for. I just started to do that. Right. There's some that are approved for in our industry, because not all of them are, because of client sensitivity and data. Yeah, so that has to be worked out.
Like Gemini and those, or is it you can't use some of those?
No, there's one that's approved, but we have to kind of work through all that, because sometimes a client may say something that isn't necessarily financial in nature, but when we're working with them, they're telling you a story about their personal situation. And everything that a financial services company does has to be retained forever. And some of that information, is non-financial, and we don't want it retained forever because it's personal in nature. So we need to be able to adjust that. So they're working through all that and getting it approved. So that's what tends to happen in highly regulated industries such as ours. But we're starting to use it where we can, and it is extremely helpful. And the more you get into it, the more you can kind of learn how to use it and get the most from it. That's what I'm finding.
Right. You learn and you get better at it yourself in terms of how you prompt, which is really the key to all this. No,
exactly.
So I bring it up for a couple of reasons. It came up yesterday because Dan Ives, who's the noted tech analyst, was on at the end of the show, and he was saying Apple, it's just a matter of time until they buy Perplexity because they're way behind in AI. Now there's a story today, maybe Apple's trying to catch up, but I thought that was interesting. And then you wake up today and you read it's Perplexity that wants to maybe buy Chrome off Google for more than the company's worth. But I guess what they would be trying to do here is to take advantage of the antitrust thing if it doesn't go Google's or Alphabet's way.
Perplexity was also offering to buy TikTok. If that was going to get negated, that's still out there. We don't know what's happening with that. So they're out there. They don't have all the money. They say they have the money lined up. We've heard that story before. We don't know if it's true. But this is what you're getting, is everyone's recognizing the value here in AI. How are they going to get positioned? How are they going to play it? Search is a key part of AI because it's using that to source all this information. So they want to be a part of that. And so, Google has come out and said Chrome home's not for sale, and they'll stick with that until they're forced to sell it, if they are forced to sell it. But all this is moving fast, and we're back with all of these key companies that are involved in all these different levels. And I'm sure there's going to be some consolidation as things move on, but it's very fluid, and that's why you have to sort of react and take a look at what you have and what you own. There'll be some winners, and there'll be some people who are left behind, as there always is in any of these internet and high-flying related things.
There's a lot of exciting stuff out there, too. We talk a lot about the dangers, which is legit, we should, and the concerns, but a lot of exciting things happening as well. Thank you, Doug, as always. Closing bell time.